Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading Fool's Fate. So Fool's Fate is the third and last book in the Tawny Man trilogy and the ninth book in the Realm of the Elderlings series, which is a fantasy series. And I've read the two previous trilogies and obviously the two previous books in this trilogy as well, and I will link below the playlist for those videos if you want to check those out before this one. And I basically have been knowing what was going to happen in this book, like the plot or like the synopsis, since the previous book. So I was definitely very excited to get into it and to finally see how that was gonna happen, like what was gonna come out of all of that. So yeah, I was definitely very excited to get into this book. And I just want to say that there are definitely spoilers in this reading vlog, and let's get into it. Okay, so I have made it to page 280 of Fool's Fate, which is around 1/3 in. And like, this book is absolutely massive. Look at this brick of a book. I think it's 800 and something pages. 805. This is massive, but I am 1/3 in. And obviously, this book starts off with them getting ready to go on the mission that they have been getting ready to go on for the last book, basically. And Swift, Burrick's son, he had gone to Buckkeep in the previous book, but then Burrick had gone there to get him back home. But he left home once again and went again to Buckkeep because he really wants to be taught in the wit. And he brings a letter with him saying that his father has basically given up on him and he's free to be there. But then Fitz, he in his dreams is still communicating with Nettle, and Nettle says that he just left. She actually helped him escape without really knowing that she was helping him escape. But yeah, she helped him, and that letter is not true. Birds does not give up on him. He's worried. They're all worried. They don't know where he is. And so Fitz talks to Swift and tells him to, get his ass back home. And he says that he will, but he obviously doesn't. And when they all get on the ship to leave, Swift actually also gets in the ship with them without them realizing. But before they do get on the ship, Fitz and Dutiful and Thick, I think the three of them, they have dreams with Tentaglia, who's the dragon that was in the Life Ship Traders trilogy, and she wants to know about the dragon that they are gonna hunt, Icefire. But they also don't know much. They don't even know if he's actually real. I'm assuming that he is, but they don't actually know that. And then they do get on the ship, and Thick is having a terrible time on the ship. He's super sick. And then when Fitz is having dreams with Nettle, she says that she'll help Thick get over his sickness and just feel calmer, basically, if Fitz does something for her. And that something is assure her that her brother is okay, Swift. And he also sends a message for her to give Burrick, that he will know that his son is with Fitz. But he doesn't even know that Fitz is alive, and Fitz didn't want him to know that he's alive, but now he kind of has to. And so he does send that message, and yeah, Burrick now knows that Fitz is alive. And the next time he talks to Nettle, she says that he has left and gone somewhere, and Fitz is pretty sure that he has gone to Buckkeep to look for him, but they're not there, so he will only find the queen. And then they get to Eliania's land, so Dutiful's fiance, and some of the people there are really against Dutiful killing Icefire because he's there, or he's supposed to be there as their protector, so they're very against it. But it was the challenge that she sets, and she's kind of sort of a leader, or the daughter of, or granddaughter, whatever, of a leader. So and then she they do, Eliania and Dutiful, they do that land's marriage ritual. So they, like, in that land, they're married. Jade says that, like, for their own customs in Buckkeep, like, he's not married, but, like, technically they're married. He's married. And then Dutiful also learns about Nettle. Like, in the dreams, things get connected, they talk, and yeah, he learns about Nettle and who she actually is, and he wants her to go to Buckkeep to be taught in the skill, because, I mean, she's Fitz's daughter, so, like, technically she's part of the Farseer family. Like, technically, if anything happened to Dutiful, she would be the next in line, like, as the Farseer heir, and so he wants her to go to Buckkeep, which we know Fitz does not want. And either way, they keep on their way going to the island where Icefire is supposed to be, and when they get to the island, they see that there is someone there, and as they get closer, they realize that the person who's there is the Fool. Because the Fool has somehow found a way to be there, and even, like, be there before the rest of them got there, which I never doubted for a second, but yeah, the Fool is there, and that is where I'm at. Like, literally, the last line that I read was, "The Fool awaited me." So yeah, that's where I'm at. And, I think that after, like, a book and a third of another book, I might be about to finally get to the action to see them go after this dragon, and I am very excited for it. And I also really like to see the, like, Eliania's land and their people and their customs. That was also very interesting to learn about. And I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen, like, with Burrick and Nettle and, like, Fitz and all of them. I'm very excited, but also very stressed. I hope it's gonna go well, but I'm worried. But I'm excited. And I'm also excited for the dragon and this whole thing that's gonna happen, because, I mean, technically, like, Dutiful has to kill the dragon, because that's the only way that Eliania will actually, be his wife. I mean, yes, they did technically get married, but, like, in his land, she will only, like, go back with him and be his wife and do the whole thing if he kills Icefire. But the Fool says that, like, Icefire can't die because he has to mate with Tintaglia so dragons can exist again. So, yeah. Also, I hope they find a way for the Fool not to die, because I cannot bear the Fool to die. Like, absolutely not. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm excited, and I will get back into reading. I will read probably another third, and I will be back. Okay, so I have made it to page 537 of Fool's Fate, which is this much in, which is like 66, 67, 2/3. And, well, the Fool and Fitz are talking about the Fool's probable future death, and Fitz is saying that basically he's not gonna let the Fool die, like, that's not something he would ever do. And the Fool is telling Fitz, "Don't do this. Don't try to stop me from doing what I must do. I thought I'd made you understand it, back there on the beach. I could have run away from this. I could have stayed in Buckkeep, or gone back to Bingtown, or even gone home, or back to where home once was, but I didn't. I'm here. If you set out to defeat me, simply for the sake of keeping me alive, you will render all my life meaningless. All you have gone through up to now will be for nothing. You'll be condemning me to live out my years, knowing that I failed. Would you do that to me?" And then Fitz says, "So you're saying, if I see something killing you, I'm to let it happen, even if I can prevent it?" And the Fool says, "I suppose so." And then Fitz says, "What if it's the wrong thing? What if I see a bear killing you, and you're supposed to die in an avalanche, and then do nothing, so you die in the wrong way, and it's all for nothing? I cannot possibly stand by and watch you die, Fool. You'd be asking me to be profoundly different from who I am. You'd be making the change, not me. And didn't you once tell me that precipitating the change was my task, not yours? So don't ask it of me. If fate demands that you be dead, well, then I'll probably be dead too." Which, like, honestly, he's making a good point. Like, that is a fair point, because the Fool does always say that Fitz is, like, the catalyst. He's the one to make the changes, to, create whatever will happen in the world. So, asking Fitz to let the Fool die, if he could prevent it, would be indeed asking him to be someone that he's not.
So, you know, that is actually a good point. And then the Fool also says that like the dragons and the Elderlings are connected, or are probably connected. So if they bring that back the dragons, they will probably, maybe, possibly also bring back the Elderlings. And you know, they are looking for the dragon, and everyone who has the skill, like all of our group basically, can like feel the dragon's presence, even though they haven't yet like found him, seen him. They can feel his presence. And then the Fool and Fitz, they actually like get separated from the rest of the group, and they like fall into a cave, or like a cave system, and they do like get a glimpse of the dragon, and they also see the Black Man, or who they call the Black Man, who's, I guess, is kind of a legend, but like they have seen him. And when I say black, I mean like, you know, pitch black, like his skin is like pitch black, his eyes are pitch black, he's all like pitch black. And I mean, what I'm imagining from that is like a shadow, which I assume is not what he actually looks like, but that's how they describe him, like just, you know, pitch black skin and eyes and just everything. And they do see him in the cave as well, and they like start following him, but then they are actually caught by guards, and those guards take them, or I mean, not exactly guards, but like they say they're armed men, and I guess that is more correct. They take them to the Pale Woman, and basically like she imprisons them, and she tells Fitz that she wants him to be her catalyst, and she also wants to have children with him, so there's that. And she's the one that really wants Icefire the dragon dead, and if Fitz, and like it has to be killed by a Farseer, and if Fitz kills the dragon, she'll let the Fool go. So Fitz is able to like leave the cave, and he joins the others. And actually, like when he gets the others to join them, Burrick is there. So there's that. And we find out that like Heliania and all those people were actually kind of working for the Pale Woman, because she had, you know, blackmailed them. Like one of the men says, if we made the prince kill the dragon, she would kill Ortra and Kossi. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say fantasy names, especially the ones that are not like main characters and I don't read / hear a million times. No clue. But people that like the Pale Woman has imprisoned. Their torment and shame would end, and if we deliver, and like she's torturing them basically. And if we delivered you and the Tawny Man to her alive, she promised to give us their bodies to return to our motherland. And then he continues, during the war, she said that the Farseer line must perish entirely, or that they would bring the dragons to descend on us, just as they did of old. Some believed her and tried to do her will, but they failed, and her words came true. You Farseers brought the wrath of the dragons upon us, smashing and destroying our ships and villages. She says our dragon deserves to die, for he failed to rise and protect us. Moreover, she says he deserves to die at a Farseer's hand, since you are the foe that he failed to protect us from. But most of all, she says a Farseer must kill Icefire, because that is what she has seen in her visions of the future. For it to go as she wills it, a Farseer must do this deed. And so, you know, in order to save the Fool, and to basically end the torture of the other people that she has there and the others care about, Fitz agrees that he will kill Icefire. And so like he goes back in the cave and gets to where Icefire is, but then he actually like starts thinking about it and realizes that if he does kill Icefire, that would actually be the ruin of the Farseers, because it would just lead to like war and death and destruction, and like, you know, they would all be gone, basically. And so he basically decides not to kill Icefire, even though he knows that he's probably gonna condemn the Fool. Like, he decides that that is like what he has to do. And honestly, that is such a hard decision to make, because he has to choose between, you know, not only like his family, because his family, like in a broad sense, hasn't really always been there for him, but specifically in this case, his family, like the Farseers, are dutiful and shade. And I mean, the queen is not technically a Farseer, but, you know, she married one. She has a son who is. So like now his family is actually people that he likes. So he has to choose between them and the Fool, who's also someone that he obviously really cares about. So yeah, that was a really hard decision for him, but he decides that not only save like his family, but kind of like the world. So he decides to not kill Icefire. And he actually, like, Nettle helps him like wake the dragon because he's like in ice and kind of sleeping. So Nettle, like, through the skill, helps him wake the dragon, and then Tintaglia also gets there, and they all like combine forces to help the dragon like wake up and escape from where he is almost like buried. But then when like the dragon is, flying up, the pale woman's dragon, who is like a stone dragon, not like a dragon like Tintaglia in this one, it attacks and like reaches for ice fire and like starts pulling him back down. And that's like where I'm at. The very last thing I read was literally the stone dragon lunged, his great jaws closing on the base of Icefire's tail. He raised his stubby legs and began to drag the black dragon back into the pit with him. Like, that's literally the last line that I read. And I am loving this now. Like, I am absolutely hooked. I am obsessed. I am so into it. Like, I was so stressed when like Fitz was with the dragon and he like couldn't wake him up and he was like being attacked, and I was so stressed, and like I'm still very stressed because I don't know what the hell is gonna happen to the fool, because like the future that the pale woman wants for him is not death, but it's worse than death. So yeah, I am worried, I'm nervous, I'm stressed, but I am absolutely hooked. Like, I am absolutely loving this now. Like, I am having such a good time. Like, even though stressful, but like, it's so good now. So good. And also, I love to see Burrick back, like, with Fitz, because, they talked about everything. I mean, not everything yet. They still have some conversations to have. But, yeah, they talked about a bunch of things. And we actually learned, like, why Burrick hates the wit so much. And yeah, I'm just loving it. Like, I'm loving everyone, and all the hard decisions that all these characters are having to make, even like Dutiful. And there was something that Fitz said about him that like I even wrote down, because he said that like his sudden change from a sulky 15-year-old to the heir to the throne. And like literally, because in the previous book, I was like, I mean, not in the end of the previous book, like I already liked Dutiful by the end, like in the middle of the book, I was like, he's such a brat. And I'm like, he's acting like an actual adult, a responsible adult that has lives depending on him. And yeah, I'm loving it. I am loving it so much. Like, it is so good. I am so stressed and worried about what's gonna happen in this last third of the book, but I am loving it. So yeah, I am gonna read it, I'm gonna finish it, and I will be back with what happened and my thoughts and everything.
Okay, so I have finished Fool's Fate, and after my last update, they actually fight and kill the stone dragon, but Burrit gets like really badly injured, and he ends up dying, which was heartbreaking for me. And like, he doesn't die immediately, like he's really badly hurt, and he's still like, when they go on the ship to go back home, he's still alive, but he ends up dying during the travel back home. And like, before they get on the ship, Fitz is told by another guy who was in the fight that the fool died, and so Fitz actually stays behind. He doesn't get on the ship, he stays behind with Thick, and he stays behind because he wants to find the fool's body to like burn it, and he also wants to find the pale woman, and like, if he finds her, he wants to kill her. And so while Fitz and Thick are looking for the place where the fool died, they actually find the black man, and they learn more about him. And basically, like, the black man like tells his own story, and he says, "Once I was the white prophet. I failed. With the old ones, I came here. We were the last ones, and we knew it. The other cities had gone empty and still, but I had seen there was still a chance, a slight chance, that all might go back to what had been. When the dragon came, at first he gave me hope, but he was full of despair, sick with it like a disease. Into the ice he crawled. I tried, I visited him, I pleaded, I encouraged, but he turned from me to seek death, and that left nothing for me, no hopes. There was only the waiting. For so long I had nothing. I saw nothing. The future darkened, the chance narrowed. One vision is left to me, a tiny pip. No, a tiny glimpse of what could be. It was not certain, ever, but it was a chance. Another might come with another catalyst. The smallest chance maybe there is. So small, so unlikely, but there is that chance. And then he talked about like his own catalyst, and he said, "My catalyst, she's dead. Dead so many years. Who could imagine that death lasts so much longer than life?" Then I saw him, not white but gold. I wondered. Then you came after him. Him I knew at first glance. I recognized you when you left the gift for me. My heart. I long to help, but I cannot be the changer. So limited what I may do, or down it all falls. So basically, he is like the fool, and he had a catalyst, like the fool has Fitz, but his catalyst failed, and there was nothing he could do except he did see the fool and Fitz going there, and so he knows that that's the chance. And then Fitz continues to look for the fool's body, and he actually does find it, and like he was gonna burn the body, but then he decided against it. It says, "Life would go on without the fool, because he had died. I could see it all so clearly, as if I had always known it would come to this. He was dead, nothing could change that, but I was the changer." And then Fitz started talking, to the air, the universe. He said, "No, let it be different, not this way. Whatever you want from me, take it, but don't let it all end like this. Let him take my life and give me his death. Let him be me and I be him. I take his death. Do you hear me? I take his death for my own." I lifted the crown to the sun. Through my flowing tears it shone iridescent, and the feathers seemed to waver gently in the summer breeze. Then, with an almost physical wrench, I tore it out of time's destined path. I clapped it firmly upon my own brow. As the world spun around me, I lay my body down on the funeral pyre, wrapped my arms around my friend, and gave myself over to whatever awaited me beyond it. And so, using the wit, Fitz was actually able to bring the fool back to life, like he himself had been brought to life by Burrick. And Fitz also gets all of the memories that he had lost or willingly given away to one of the stone dragons in the first trilogy. Like he gets all of those memories back, and so he's complete, I guess, and the fool is alive, and the two of them go back to the black man's house where Thick is still waiting. And Fitz is he wants to go back home, obviously, but the fool doesn't. The fool wants to stay behind to try to figure everything out. And they also say that Fitz should just move on with his life without the fool's interference and just be happy living his life. And Fitz doesn't really want that, but the fool doesn't really give him much of a choice. Fitz is going to go home alone, I mean with Thick, but without the fool. And then Fitz is curious about the black man, and so he asks, "Why did he change? Why is the fool changing? The pale woman remained white." And the black man says, "On this I have thought many times. Perhaps as we cause change, we change. Other prophets who remain white often speak much but do little. He and I, in our youths, much change we foretold. Then out we went and we made changes, and perhaps we also changed ourselves." And then Fitz says, "But the pale woman also did things to try to make changes." And the black man replies, "She tried, she failed, we prevailed, we changed. Perhaps so this old man thinks." So, after learning that, Fitz and Thick do go back home, and when they get there, Nettle is at the palace, and she does meet Fitz, in person, face to face, finally, but Fitz doesn't tell her that he's her father immediately. And then he keeps using the portal stones to go back and forth to visit the fool, but the black man warns him that he's using them too frequently. And the last time that he does use it to go back to Buttkeep, he actually gets lost somewhere for a month. And when he does finally get back there, he Molly is actually at Buckkeep as well, and she has told Nettle that Fitz is her father. So that's happening. People are not happy, and then I say people, I mean Nettle and Molly's other children. And Fitz, after Burrick died, he wanted to just go and get Molly back, in which the queen was like, that is not what you should do. You should give her time to grieve her husband's death, you know, like don't be that person. And so he decided to wait for some time. But now that Molly's there, he does like, you know, want her back. And Eliania also like gets back to Buckkeep to marry Dutiful, and they do get married. Like now they are married both in her like customs and like also with his customs. They are like fully married, I guess. And a few more months go by, and Fitz and Molly are in fact back together. And I think like 3 years later, they get married. And the Fool did like stay away after Fitz last, you know, travel with the Portal Stones. They didn't see each other anymore. And yeah, that is pretty much how it ended. So let's go into my final thoughts. So starting off with the characters and with Fitz, he also definitely, like, I still have mixed feelings about him still in this book, because there were some times when his attitude definitely annoyed me a bit, or more than a bit. But like overall, I still do really like him, and I do like to follow him as the main character because he is a very interesting character. But yeah, sometimes he definitely annoyed me. And the Prince Dutiful, I actually just really liked in this book. I don't think there was like a time where I didn't like him. So he definitely really grew on me throughout this trilogy, and I just ended up, you know, loving him. And the Fool just also like absolutely love. And like I was really scared of what would happen because of like the prophecies and stuff. And when I heard that the Fool had died, I was definitely very sad and confused, because like I was pretty sure that there were future books with the Fool. So I was very confused, but like now I get it. And I was also very sad that Beric died. That was really heartbreaking. And like so much happened in this book, especially like considering this series that is like pretty slow. This one had a lot of action, like a lot of things happening, and I was hooked. Like I was obsessed, especially from the last 2/3. I was absolutely into it, like so obsessed with it. And not only did like a lot happen and like a lot of action and just, you know, a lot in general, we also learned a lot about the characters and about the magic and the prophecies and how the prophets work and everything. So I also really enjoyed that. And I didn't love the way that it ended, like the very end. I didn't love that. But overall, I did really like the book, and it was definitely one of my favorites in this series, in this world. And I think I am gonna give it 4.5 stars. So yeah, I finished the third book in the trilogy, so another trilogy complete. I've read now 9 books in this world, and although, like I said, they are a bit slow for me in general, I do still really enjoy it, and I especially enjoy like the world and the magic and the characters most times. And yeah, that is everything for this video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!